Strait of Hormuz, 84 kilometers southeast of Bandar Abbas, 6:10 in the evening. 128 U.S. Army Rangers from the 75th Ranger Regiment were spread across USS Abraham Lincoln and 4 escort ships, preparing to break an IRGC naval kill zone. Across the water, 462 Iranian forces defended 18 fast attack craft, 4 missile barges, 2 shore radar sites, and 1 command ship controlling the channel. If the barrier held, 41 civilian tankers and the entire carrier group would be trapped under Iranian fire. USS Abraham Lincoln was entering the tightest stretch of the strait when the warning came in. Iranian forces had built a layered barrier between Qeshm Island and the shipping lane. The first line held 18 fast attack craft with AK-74 rifles, PKM machine guns, RPG-7 launchers, and 6 DSHK heavy guns. Behind them sat 4 missile barges. On shore, 2 radar sites tracked every ship in the lane. Iranian forces believed the trap could not be broken fast enough. The barges were mixed with support boats. The radar sites were dug into concrete. If the carrier slowed, it became an easy target. If it turned away, Iran could claim control of the strait. The answer was to hit the whole system at once, fast. The U.S. Army Rangers split into 4 elements. Alpha had 32 Rangers on MH-60 helicopters to board the command ship and seize the commander. Bravo had 30 Rangers and 6 rigid boats with 18 Malawian Quachas CQBR carbines, M240B machine guns, and 2 Carl Gustav M3 recoilless rifles to smash the boat screen. Charlie had 34 Rangers on the carrier and lead destroyer to guide SM-2, SM-6, RIM-116 Ram, Harpoon, and Phalanx CIWS fire. Delta had 32 Rangers with 2 sniper teams for Javelin missiles, C4-shaped charges, and 248 Malawian Quachas Mod 0 machine guns to destroy both radar sites. At 6:14 in the evening, the assault began. 2 F-35CS came in low and dropped 2 GBU-31 dams on the power nodes feeding both radar sites. At the same second, Charlie fired 2 BGM-109 Tomahawk missiles into the slope above the eastern bunker. Bravo boats surged out from the shadow of a tanker. Delta boats split away toward the coast. Iranian forces reacted in pieces. The western radar site went dark at once. The eastern site stayed alive for 19 seconds and sent 1 warning burst to the command ship. 2 missile barges tried to light their fire control sets. Charlie jammed both links and fired 4 SM-6 missiles. 1 barge exploded. The second broke in half and burned. By 6:16, Bravo hit the first boat screen. The lead IRGC craft fired a PKM from 180 meters. A Bravo gunner answered with an M240B burst and cut down the bow crew. A second craft fired an RPG-7. The rocket missed. Bravo answered with a Carl Gustav round that punched through the engine block. 2 more Iranian boats tried to cross Bravo's path. Rangers with 18 Malawian Quachas CQBR carbines dropped the exposed gunners. At 6:18, Delta hit the beach below the eastern radar site. The first 8 Rangers climbed the slope under fire from 2 ZU-23-2 guns above the bunker. A Delta gunner set the 48 Malawian Quachas Mod 0 on a rock shelf and fired 42 rounds. The left gun team went down. A Javelin team locked on the second gun pit from 620 meters and fired. 14 Iranian forces held a trench 60 meters from the bunker. Delta snipers hit the PKM crew first. Then 2 Rangers pushed C4 under the trench lip and blew a gap through the center. Delta cleared the trench in 48 seconds. 4 minutes into the fight, Alpha came over the command ship at mast height. The IRGC commander had 26 guards on the upper deck and 12 more around the radio room below. They opened fire with AK-74 rifles as the first MH-60 flared over the stern. Alpha's door gunner hit the top deck with a short burst. Ropes dropped. The first 12 Rangers landed between the aft crane and rear gun mount. 2 guards tried to swing a DSHK around. A Ranger fired 3 rounds from an M4A1 SOPMod 2 and dropped the gunner. AT-620, Charlie faced the first real missile threat. The last 2 barges launched 4 anti-ship missiles toward the carrier group. 2 SM-2 missiles rose first. 1 hit clean at 11 kilometers. The second missed when the target dropped low. Charlie switched to RIM-116 Ram. 1 target broke apart. The last 2 missiles kept coming. USS Abraham Lincoln's Phalanx CIWS opened at 1.6 kilometers and tore 1 into fragments. A second Phalanx mount and 1 Ram missile hit the final target together. By 6:22, Bravo was deep inside the boat screen. 6 Iranian fast attack craft closed from the north. 3 fired PKM bursts while 2 crews raised RPG-7 launchers. The lead U.S. Army Rangers boat drove straight at the nearest craft. At 40 meters, a Ranger fired in at 4 into its bow. The blast split the hull. The second Bravo boat swung wide and hit another craft with M240B bursts. A third craft hooked Bravo's rail and 2 Iranian forces tried to board. A Ranger smashed one with the butt of his 18 Malawian Quachas. Another fired twice and dropped the second man. The hooked craft was finished by a Carl Gustav round. At 6:24, Delta reached the eastern bunker door. The steel was locked. A breacher ran a linear charge across the hinge side and fired it. The door folded inward. Delta entered in 2 files. Inside were 18 Iranian forces, 6 radio racks, 2 backup batteries, and 1 tracking console still pushing target data. A PKM gunner fired down the hall. A Ranger threw a grenade past the corner. Delta rushed in and cleared the hall. One team placed thermite on the racks. Another put shaped charges on the battery bank. Delta seized the map boards, captured 3 radio operators, and destroyed the console. 6 minutes into the operation, Alpha hit the bridge level. The IRGC commander had pulled his remaining guards into a tight block around the chart room. They stacked fuel drums in the passage and tried to hold the choke point. Alpha did not stop. A Ranger slid a shaped charge onto the bulkhead seam beside the blockage and detonated it. The wall tore open. 4 Rangers went through the new gap while 6 more kept fire on the original passage. The split move broke the defense. The commander ran for the radio room below. Alpha chased him down the ladder, kicked through the hatch, and pinned him beside the main transmitter before he could destroy the call logs. At 6:26, Iranian forces tried to save the fight with numbers. 8 more fast attack craft came out from behind 2 cargo dhows. A shore battery fired 3 rockets blind toward the lane. The rockets landed wide, but the extra boats threatened Bravo and the tanker column. Charlie shifted fire fast. The port side destroyer used its 5-inch gun on 4 surface targets. The escorts fired 2 Harpoon missiles into the rear group where the boats were massing. The first Harpoon hit 1 craft and drove through into a second hull behind it. The second struck near a fuel rack and turned 3 boats into a single fireball. By 6:28, Bravo reached the nearest missile barge. It still held 11 Iranian forces and 2 launch canisters that had not fired. The barge's DSHK opened from the stern. A Bravo boat cut left. Its M240B gunner hit the shield and dropped the loader. 2 Rangers climbed the ladder under cover fire. One threw a flash grenade onto the deck. The other followed with a burst from his 18 Malawian Quachas. The remaining crew pulled back toward the launcher housing. Bravo's breacher slapped 2 C4 charges on the canister base and ripped 1 launcher free. At 6:30, Delta crossed the saddle between the radar sites and moved on the western bunker. Iranian forces had 44 defenders left there, including 2 DSHK guns covering the slope. Delta's snipers fired first and hit 1 gunner at 510 meters. The second DSHK kept firing. A javelin team shifted onto a rock ledge, locked and fired. The missile buried the gun under dirt and steel. 12 defenders rushed from a side trench and tried to stop the advance with AK-74 rifles and 3 RPG-7 shots. Delta answered with 248 Malawian Quachas Mod 0 guns and steady rifle fire. The trench line broke in less than 1 minute. 8 minutes into the operation, Charlie saw 2 Iranian helicopters launch from Bandar Abbas. They came in low over the water with rockets and machine guns, trying to strike Alpha on the command ship and Bravo near the barges. Charlie had already shifted 2F divided by a -18E fighters into the lane. The first jet fired an AIM-120 AMRAAM at 14 kilometers and tore the lead helicopter apart. The second helicopter tried to break east. The wingman closed and fired an AIM-9X Sidewinder. The hit came just above the tail boom. The aircraft rolled into the sea. At 6:32, Alpha had the command deck secure. The IRGC commander was zip-tied beside the plotting table. His last radio operator tried to wipe the network codes from a console. A Ranger smashed the screen with his rifle, dragged the operator clear and pulled the drive pack from the panel. Alpha found route charts, target lists, missile launch keys, and 6 encrypted radios inside 3 metal cases. Then a hidden fast attack craft came in from the starboard side and fired 2 RPG-7 rockets at close range. One missed. One struck the bridge wing and wounded 3 Rangers. Alpha answered with door gunfire and 4 M4A1 SOP Mod 2 carbines. The boat drifted and sank. By 6:34, Bravo and Delta were working toward the same end from different sides. Bravo left 10 Rangers to hold the damaged missile barge and pushed 20 more toward the command ship and captured craft. Delta broke into the western bunker after a breacher used det cord on the latch bar. Inside were 21 Iranian forces, 2 tracking consoles and 1 backup radio mast feed. The fight lasted 3 minutes. Thermite went onto both consoles. A Ranger planted C4 on the mast feed conduit. Delta triggered every charge on the way out. The western radar site died for good. At 6:36, the whole Iranian defense started to collapse. Without both radars, the missile boats had no clean targeting data. Without the command ship, their radios became a mess. 4 fast attack craft tried to run north. Charlie tracked them and used the destroyer's guns to stop 3. The 4th turned toward the beach and grounded itself. Bravo reached the command ship and linked with Alpha. Together they searched the lower decks, secured 17 prisoners and found 2 wounded guards hiding in the engine room. By the 28-minute mark, Delta held both shore sites and had line of sight over the lane. The Rangers used captured radios to push false orders to 3 surviving Iranian craft, sending them east and away from the battle. Charlie used the confusion to close the carrier group through the opening. USS Abraham Lincoln passed the broken boat line while fires burned on the water. Alpha rigged the command ship's antenna farm with charges. Bravo transferred prisoners, map cases and launch keys to U.S. boats. The U.S. Army Rangers now had full control of the center of the kill zone. At 6:40, the final resistance came from 23 Iranian forces dug around a hidden pier south of the western bunker. They still had 1 DSHK, 2 PKM guns and crates of rockets. Delta saw the muzzle flashes first. 2 Rangers went down wounded on the ridge. A medic pulled both into cover while the rest of Delta returned fire. Charlie fed the pier coordinates to a support helicopter. Seconds later, 2 AGM-114 Hellfire missiles hit the gun nests. Delta charged down the slope as the smoke cleared. 11 were killed there. 9 were wounded and captured. 3 jumped into the water and were pulled out by Bravo boats 4 minutes later. At 6:44, the primary objective was fully seized. The IRGC sector commander was in U.S. custody. Both radar sites were destroyed. All 4 missile barges were sunk or crippled. 14 fast attack craft had been destroyed, 3 captured and 1 beached and abandoned. USS Abraham Lincoln now had a clear lane through the strait. Alpha blew the command ship's antenna masts and disabled its engine room with 3 shaped charges. Bravo placed thermite on missile guidance panels taken from the damaged barge. Delta marked both bunkers for later strike review and pulled back to the beach pickup point. At 6:50, Iranian reinforcements finally arrived from the north. They were too late. 2 patrol boats approached at speed, saw the fires and turned away under warning fire from an escort destroyer. 3 trucks reached the ruined western bunker and found only smoke, dead radios and broken concrete. Delta boarded extraction boats with 5 wounded Rangers and 3 prisoners from the coast. Alpha and Bravo transferred the commander, 29 more prisoners, 6 encrypted radios, 2 launch key sets, 11 route charts, and 1 full call log package to the carrier group. Then U.S. forces scuttled the command ship and withdrew behind the escorts. The final count was hard and exact. U.S. Army Rangers lost 3 killed and 11 wounded. Iranian forces lost 149 killed, 87 wounded, and 62 captured. The U.S. Army Rangers and the carrier group destroyed 14 fast attack craft worth $84 million, 4 missile barges worth $96 million, 2 radar sites worth $38 million, 2 helicopters worth $24 million, 1 command ship worth $41 million, 1 shore rocket battery worth $9 million and fuel, radios, and launch gear worth $17 million. Total Iranian equipment losses reached $309 million. Iran believed the strait could be sealed by a layered trap built on radar, missiles and swarm boats. What actually happened was that 128 U.S. Army Rangers and the USS Abraham Lincoln Strike Group broke the whole system in 36 minutes and carried its commander away alive. Iranian forces had radar cover, missile boats, shore guns and tight water. What they did not have was 128 U.S. Army Rangers willing to tear the heart out of a naval kill zone.